Pricing your work to prepare tax returns is one of the hardest things you might have to do, but it really doesn't have to be. The problem is we significantly overcomplicate this. Are we going to bill by the hour? What if I don't know how long it's going to take? What if the client doesn't want to pay me when I'm done? What if it goes longer than I anticipated and the fee ends up being way more than what I quoted to the client? What if I don't want to bill by the hour? What if I want to do value pricing? How do I figure out what the value is to that particular client and price it correctly? What if I want to do forms based? Now I got to go through and figure out every form that the taxpayer is going to have in their tax return. Well, then I'm not pricing it until the tax return is done. And again, what if the price ends up being drastically different than what the client expected and they end up not wanting to pay me and they walk out after I did all of that work? Look, pricing does not have to be that complicated. I faced the same challenge. I started out in a firm where we did hourly billing, and I basically had to guess how long it was going to take me to do the return and then quote the fee based on my hourly rate. And then we would quote the fee up front, but we wouldn't collect payment until the end. And if it ended up being more than the time I had in it, I got a write-up. And if it ended up being more time and I had to write the bill down, that went against me too. I did not want to track my hours and I didn't want to bill clients by the hour. So I figured out sort of a hybrid method. I've got other videos on this, but this video is a little bit quicker, a little bit more just straight to the point. So this is how I price tax returns. This is how I would recommend you do it if you want to just simplify things. And again, this is tax prep. And I also use 3 tiers of service. So there could be just basic tax prep. We're going to file the return, make sure you're compliant, and go through the return with you. And then there is a middle option where, hey, look, I'm going to be here year round. That's the whole benefit of being with a CPA is if you've got questions, come to me. I'm here to support you. Advice, ballpark estimates on tax impact of different things that might come up during the year. I'm here year round. Reach out to me by email, by chat message through the client portal, and I want to support you year round. The top tier, now that adds in like a forecasting and a planning appointment. Let's forecast the current year to avoid surprises, get your withholding dialed in correctly. Let's talk about ways that you can mitigate your taxes. Let's look forward and plan ahead a little bit. That's the third tier of my tax prep offerings. So a compliant, a proactive, and a strategic level. That doesn't even get into like this full-blown strategy planning that a lot of people are doing now where it's really high value for long-term planning. I don't really offer any of that. There's plenty of that out there if you want to do that. And there's ways to do that kind of in a good way. And there's ways to do that in kind of sleazy way. But look into that if that's what you want. Right now, we're just talking about pricing work where the client has come to you specifically for compliance. They're reaching out to you, which is the number one reason why clients reach out is I've got to file a tax return. I need help with it. Can you help me comply? Yes. And then we offer the 3 different levels of service. Some people find that they want to be in that middle tier with year-round support or that premium tier where they actually get some forward-looking planning and forecasting strategy ideas and just tips on how to overall reduce their taxes. So you go from compliance to figuring out which one of these they're in, and you should not be doing that year-round support or that forward-looking or updating estimated tax payments throughout the year without getting paid to do that. That is not part of basic filing of a tax return. So split that into 3 tiers and offer your pricing. Now, what I do for the higher level tiers, I price the basic tax return prep. And then for the middle tier, I do a flat dollar add-on, somewhere around $400 or $500. And then to go from the middle tier to the top tier, I add another flat dollar add-on, somewhere around like $800 to $1,000. And that again, that's a 1-hour planning and forecasting appointment that I have a little bit of prep time up front. And I have the appointment with the client, and maybe there's a question or two that I follow up on afterwards. Maybe at most 2 hours of time for an extra $1,000 to upgrade. And then the middle option, again, $500 for them to have access to me throughout the year. They send a few questions. I respond to those, help them out. Again, it's a great way where you're not adding a significant amount more of work, but you're giving the client more value and you're collecting a higher average fee for your tax work. Now, how do you come up with that basic tax prep fee? All right. I've seen people where they do just this form based. Every single form has an amount attached to it. The 8812, $20. The 8863, $75. Schedule C, $300. Whatever it is, they will attach a dollar amount to every single form. Now, I don't think that that is simplifying things. So, what I've done is I've figured out here's the big rocks that 95% of my clients have. Do people fall outside of this? Absolutely. Some people fall outside of my pricing calculator. I have this in an Excel file. It's the questions that are on my new client survey. So they fill out these questions. That lets them know and me know if we're going to be a good fit or not. Because if they fill something out that I don't particularly do, like I don't really care for partnership tax returns. If they have a partnership tax return, my new client survey is going to kick them out and say, hey, look, we don't really deal with that. If you want to do a paid consultation, we can help you figure out your next steps and send you on your way and deliver value to you in terms of consultation, but we're not going to prepare that tax return for you. If they make it through, that gives me the big rocks, right? So I'm going to ask what their filing status is. And I don't base the price on filing status, but I'm going to collect this data so that I don't have to do it in my client appointment. So what's your filing status? Do you have dependents? Do you have foreign earned income? Let me look at what some of these are. I do ask kind of a ballpark of what their AGI is. I don't base the price on their AGI either, but I do get that. Do you have W-2 income? Do you have retirement distribution income? Do you have dependents? Do you have dependent care expenses while both spouses or one spouse is working? Do you have education expenses for like tuition? So I'm looking for, American Opportunity Tax Credit there. Do you have a rental property? Do you itemize your deductions? Do you have capital gains? Do I need to do a Schedule D? How many brokerage accounts do you have? If I do you have an HSA account? Do you have insurance through the marketplace? Do I have to do the premium tax credit form? Do you have a self-employment business? Do I have to do Schedule C? Do you have a K-1? Do I need to do that? What state do you file in? Do you have multiple states that you need to file in? That's it. That's the questions that I ask. That's on my new client survey. That's how I price my returns. And those are the questions that I ask. Now, when I sit down to have a new client appointment with someone, I've already gathered that data through the new client survey. So I can just focus on them. Hey, let's get to know each other. How did you find me? What are your pain points? Why are you reaching out? What changed? Why are you looking to hire someone right now? Have you been doing it yourself, or are you leaving someone else for some reason? What are the reasons why you're looking, and what value? I'm trying to figure out what value I can deliver to them so that we can focus on that. I can solve that problem. What is it? I can solve it. Here's how I do it. Here's what it's going to cost. Which option do you want? That is my sales process. All right. So I get this, and I'll show you here my calculations page. So this is currently what the calculations page looks like. And it's a fee that's attached to forms, but it's not specifically every single form. Because, if you've got a kid doing an 8812, if I type the kid's name and birth date in there correctly and get a couple of details from you in my tax organizer, that basically takes care of itself. So I'm looking for the forms that are going to take me a little bit of time to sit down and have value that you probably can't do on your own or don't want to do on your own, or are complex enough that you don't want to read through the instructions. So again, a Schedule C. Now, a Schedule C and Schedule E, I'm going to rate with a kind of a complexity factor. So if they tell me they have a Schedule C, I'm going to ask them, hey, tell me a little bit more about that. If it's a 1099 for $5,000, they have basically no expenses to go along with it, but let's say it does still belong on Schedule C and not Schedule 1. I'm going to rate that a level 1, and I'm going to price that accordingly. If they have just a normal kind of business, any sort of normal income and activity, whether it's a side hustle or full-time self-employment, I'm going to rate by default every Schedule C business a level 2. If it's super simple, going to take me a couple minutes, we're going to go down to level 1. I'm going to charge you a little bit less for that. Level 2 is default. Level 3 is much more in-depth, much more complex Schedule C. Now, a lot of times those folks aren't still on Schedule C. They might have moved over to like an S Corp or something. But I do have that level 3 in case I need to rate something that way. Same exact thing with Schedule E. Straightforward long-term rental, going to get a level 2. I don't really do anything with level 1, but I guess there could be a situation where you might want to charge a little bit less on the Schedule E if it's pretty much a simpler Schedule E. And then level 3 might be you're renting out a portion of your home on Airbnb, where we've got a prorate part of the house and we've got a prorate part of the year. And it's just a lot more detail, a lot more in depth. I'm going to rate that a level 3. So that's Schedule C, that's Schedule E. Itemized deductions, I'm going to charge a flat fee for itemized deductions. So if you need to do a Schedule A, it doesn't really matter how long it's going to take me. It doesn't matter if I have to figure out if your mortgage interest is capped or not. I'm just going to charge for Schedule A. And the fee that I'm going to charge for Schedule A, that's not necessarily based on the amount of time. Now, I thought through, when I was setting these prices in my calculator, like, okay, a Schedule A is probably going to take me on average this amount of time, but it's also worth a lot more to the client than the time that it takes me to fill out that Schedule A and to verify that information. So most people who are using Schedule A, they're getting a higher deduction, everyone who's using Schedule A is getting a higher deduction than the standard deduction, so there's value there. They also typically are higher income with higher mortgage interest and higher charitable giving and higher property taxes. So the value to someone who's making more is going to be more, and the value to someone who's doing a Schedule A is going to be more than the standard deduction. So I factor all that in. And then I also think through like kind of what's reasonable. What do I think people are going to be willing to pay? Now, don't short sell yourself there, because you don't want to think about what you're willing to pay, because you do this for a living. You're not willing to pay anyone to do it because you know exactly what you're doing. But that's what I do. I figure out on average about how long is this going to take me. And that's just a gut check, because if it's on average going to take me an hour to do something, I don't want to charge $100 for that. I want to charge at least $300 or $400, whatever you think your minimum hourly rate should be. But then you want to adjust upwards based on value. All right. And so that's kind of what I've done. And I've, again, just done the big rocks. I've just done kind of the main things. Schedule A, itemized deductions, rental property on Schedule E, business on Schedule C, premium tax credit, education credits, held savings account, Schedule D, brokerage accounts. I'm going to ask them how many brokerage accounts they have. In the client thing, I'm going to ask them how many trades they have. Are they day trading or are they just doing normal trading? Do they have crypto? I'm going to make adjustments for all of that. Do they have, dependent care expenses? Do I have to do Form 2441? Do we have to get the care provider information and get that in there? Do they have just regular W-2 income? W-2s I don't really charge for. My calculator does charge if they have extra W-2s. Like if a married couple has 4, it's going to charge a little bit extra for the extra W-2s. But I usually actually, even if they tell me they have 4 W-2s, I usually just stick in here that they have 2, because I'm really not interested in getting an extra $20 for 2 extra W-2s. All right. That really doesn't bother me at all. I'm just looking for the big picture. So this is mine. This is what I've done. These are the things that I found to be the most common in almost all of my clients. And I have figured out a way to quickly and confidently price the work so that I can deliver them the pricing in the appointment. Because you can close the deal in the appointment way better than you can by sending them a proposal after the appointment. So I want to deliver the price in the appointment so that they can react and I can help walk them through that, or they can say yes, or they can say, let me think about it. I don't push them to make a decision, but I still want to deliver the actual price and options in the appointment with them face to face in case they do want to ask questions, and I can help them kind of walk through those things. So your big rocks may not be what mine are. You may specialize in real estate investors and you need to ask a few extra questions. You may specialize in some other sort of cryptocurrency and you need to ask a few more questions about the cryptocurrency. I just ask enough questions to either figure out I don't want to do that and you can find someone else to do that because that's not really what I focus on, or I've got what I need. I can price the return. I might have a few clarifying questions to cover in the appointment, but other than that, the appointment is basically just for us to connect, get to know each other a little bit, figure out how each of us works and see if we're a good fit, deliver the services, offer the services that I provide and deliver the pricing on that, and get you to either say yes or no that you want to move forward. So don't overthink this. Figure out what works for you. Figure out a way to price it quickly and confidently so that you can deliver it to the client in the appointment and just move forward. Try it. You can always change it. In between every single appointment, in my calculator, I can come in and I can change the rate. I even have a manual adjustment on the fly where I can do negative or positive adjustments to the price if I think something's not feeling right in the moment. I do not do discounts though. Once I give them the price, if they ask me if that price is negotiable, I tell them it's not. I rarely get that question because of the 3 levels of service. They see, okay, well, the basic is basic compliance and that's the cheapest. So you've kind of already built in the negotiation there. Hey, you can either do the premium, the middle, or the basic. That is the negotiation, but I'm not doing anything else on top of that. We're not going to talk about, hey, the basic is still a little bit high. Can you drop that down for me? No, that's what I charge. That's the fee. I completely understand if that's out of your budget or if it's not worth it to you at this time. I appreciated meeting with you. And if you need any help in the future, reach out to me. No hard feelings, right? So I'm not actually really even doing sales. I'm just offering my services for what I'm willing to do them for, and we can move forward or not. No hard feelings if you don't. If that's not what you expected, that's fine. We'll move on. And if you need anything in the future and it becomes worth it to you later, feel free to reach back out and we'll work together. But again, this video is mostly about pricing. So here's my thought. Don't overthink it. Figure out something that works for you. Try it on a couple of new client appointments. If you don't like the way it feels, if it's not feeling right to you, look, your confidence in the calls with potential clients is what's going to make them confident in you. So don't use my pricing calculator. Don't price the way I price if you don't feel confident with that. Figure out a way to adapt it to where you feel good about it, to where you're delivering it and it makes sense to you. And you can confidently say, this is what I offer, this is what I charge for it. And then again, in between appointments, change it if you need to. If something's not feeling right, just fix it and try it again. This is the great thing about your business. You get to do whatever you want. So if something didn't feel right in an appointment, tweak it. Do it again the next one. There's going to be another client reaching out. Tax prep, I mean, I've just found that there are tons of clients out there. The only thing that you have to do is figure out how to price the work, deliver it confidently, offer your services, and then the people who are a good fit are going to say yes, and you move on. Do the work, get paid, and keep going. So again, you just want to make sure that you feel good about the way you're doing it. Figure something out, iterate it, try multiple things, go with whatever's working for you. And I think that in, a little bit of time, you'll be fully confident, you'll be running with it, and you'll wonder, why did I ever have a problem pricing these to begin with? And I also think that down the line, you'll continue to increase your prices every year as you get more confident, as you build your client base. And you'll, like I said, you'll just kind of look back and be like, man, I can't believe that was ever something that I struggled with. I also will say this. I have my pricing calculator. It is for sale. You can buy it. The link is in the description below. And again, don't use that if you're not confident in that, but use it to create something of your own. Use it as a starting point to get an idea and then rework it, change the prices, change the questions, figure out a new method of it, add questions that you need, delete questions that you don't need. But don't just copy it straight and use it. I mean, you could do that if you feel good about that. And if what you're doing is similar to what I'm doing, that's fine. But also, again, the biggest piece is, can you be confident in what you're doing? Because that's going to help your clients be confident in you. So take it, change it, use it to work your way back into something completely different, and just get it to spark ideas, whatever. The link is down below if you need it. If you need any help, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, leave a comment here, or get in touch with me one way or another. And I'd love to point you in the right direction and help you any way that I can. But yeah, hope this video was helpful, and I appreciate you watching it.